Hello and welcome to this week's Old School livestream. I'm your host Mod Gambit, and joining me on the sofa this week are Mods Kieran.
Hello.
Mod Tide.
Hey.
Mod Wolf.
Hello.
And Mod Bruno.
Hey.
Thank you for joining me. We'll get the usual announcements out the way first. Exclamation mark RuneFest for buying RuneFest tickets if you're interested in joining us at the event. I think it's something like 44 days away.
It's really close.
It's exactly 44 days away, actually. So if you want to join us, see all the keynotes, all the big releases that are coming next year, along with all the other exciting things we have going on at the event, get your tickets.
I'm going to say it, this year's releases are as follows. No, the biggest we've done yet.
They are huge.
I think they are the best we've done yet, and I'm going to put that out there like that.
They're going to hold you to that now.
They won't be disappointed.
Okay, good. We're also bringing back we're doing a quiz like we did a fortnight ago at the end of the stream, so maybe 3/4 of the way in, or just under. We'll hand over to Mod Wolf, who's going to sit at the PCs and host the quiz for you.
It's a quiz?
Yeah.
Exclamation mark quiz to get all the details. Make sure you've got the extension enabled, and you'll be able to join us in answering old school related questions.
There should be an extension right over here.
Big shout out to the official wiki guys who put those together for us.
So I've agreed to come on the Q&A, and now I've got to participate in a quiz.
Absolutely.
Did you at least bring your phone?
I do have my phone.
Make sure you allow access to your name, your Twitch name.
Yep.
It would be useful. And also the people who won that last time have already been contacted. They've got their prizes already, if they've responded back to us, but we did email them. So, yeah.
Excellent, yes.
14 days membership up for grabs for 10 people.
Fantastic.
What if we win?
You get nothing. You get a warm, fuzzy feeling inside.
The only other command you'll have access to for now, I believe, is exclamation mark BH is still active for the Bounty Hunter rework design. If you're interested in reading that and haven't yet, please do so. We're still collecting feedback. It's actually something we're still discussing is your guys' feedback on that. We'll be looking to update it with a change list and releasing a poll blog in the coming weeks. That's it for announcements. If our lovely producer, Mod John, is able, we'll bring up some pictures for you that we wanted to share. Where's my clicker? Here it is. So the first one is a awesome piece of fan art by the Thepascan, something along those lines. On Reddit, they posted this. They called it Wrecked, is the title.
Is he beheading him?
Yes, he is beheading him.
Okay. Whoa.
His loot's getting stolen.
Yeah.
What number is he hitting?
I love the looter in the background. Picking up the sharks.
I didn't even notice.
There is one thing that is actually quite hard to see for us, but there's a mouse over the Vakaian Void as well. So
Is there?
it's meant to sort of represent, it seems like it's representing like the actual screen. But yeah, there's a mouse over the Void guy.
Can you zoom in again, please, Mod John? I want to see it.
It's a little tiny mouse. It's hard to see from even.
Are you sure you just didn't leave that in when you print screen by accident? There's a distinct chance that you accidentally left that in.
Yeah, I love the level of detail in this. Very cool. Like
that loot is so good.
From the looter to the guy who's ready to like PJ rush.
It's an accurate representation of her.
Yeah. And then all of like the different builds in the background as well. Very, very cool. So yeah, big shout out to the Pascan for this one.
What you don't see is that the Birthop Games room is on the top of the GE.
Our next is a considerably less violent and more tranquil piece of art from Metal Man 20XX.
That's nice.
Entitled Home by the Waterfall. Obviously, we've got Backstorian Falls there. And wait, who
got
actually
the Gnome
lives
Stronghold
there?
in the background as well.
The guy who sells the Dragon Dagger, maybe?
The guy who
Rosolo?
yeah, Rosolo? Is that his house? His gaff?
No, I think somebody else lives there. In the quest, you do go in and go upstairs and steal one of their books.
Ah, do you? Okay.
Yeah. It's part of the quest.
Use the term his gaff. I want to see some NPC in RuneScape saying, you want to come back to my gaff? Something like that.
I think somebody does say gaff in game. It's one of the builders, I think, near the...
Probably.
It's always a builder. It's one
I love it though.
Yeah,
it's one of my favourite things is actually seeing fan art. Like,
I'm upset that there's not like a person in the waterfall falling down after trying to enter. That would have been spot on, but I love it.
Very nice. Yeah. I like how... Oh, my mic's going to pop off.
Oh no, don't do it. You should give warning before you touched it. Now they're going to...
What I was about to say, yeah, there's been a really nice like trend of just high-quality user-generated content, especially the past few months, which is really awesome to see. So please keep that coming. We We love seeing it. We want to feature it as much as possible. So thank you very much.
Love a good bit of OC.
OC, quality OC. That's everything for shout-outs. So I'm hoping, Mod Wolf, you can give us some clue as to what this is.
Oh, look at that! So LMS poll has now closed. Look how sick that's so cool. Sorry, LMS blog has now the poll is closed.
Yep.
Of course, the staff did pass, and a couple of other things did, of course, as well. Do check that out in game. Tomorrow will be coming the beta for the LMS. We're going to be updating the line of sight based on feedback and issues that we found. So we took another gander at it. We've revisited it, and now essentially the changes that we've made are so that in PvP scenarios, the way that it was working in the beta last week will still be how it works. So in PvP, it will work how, the fix, how we wanted it to work, will continue to work. But in PvM, it will work exactly how it does in live right now. Hopefully, as in, this new line of sight will now only activate during PvP scenarios as opposed to during PvM and PvP scenarios as well.
Right.
So we should see no changes in the main game, which you guys will hopefully be able to jump on and assist us with. And during PvP scenarios, you will see the changes that PvP has desired. So,
right, so
everybody wins. Isn't that the best?
One-way safe spots in LMS.
Yes. There we go. Great work from Mod Atlas there with that engine change, and Mod West did the staff. That'll obviously allow you to auto-cast Guthix Claws in the same way the Staff of the Dead and the Staff of Light do it for their equivalent spells.
Right.
Just slightly on the LOS stuff. Wooks is in the chat talking about it, and it's like one thing I just want to mention as well. Obviously, doing this beta, obviously we knew we had a lot of problems, and it was good to confirm like what sort of stuff, if there was anything we hadn't picked up on. But one thing I loved is how much the community actually jumped on it, and I mean, Wooks especially did a really in-depth sort of video describing how different line of sight methods could potentially be used. So I love how much the community gets involved with stuff like this, and it allows us to really make sure we get this stuff spot on, and it's something obviously we know is quite controversial and difficult to actually get right.
Yeah, thanks all so much for all your help throughout. Sadly, those issues technically weren't fixed because instead we just did a sweeping change which would fix it all. So yeah, thank you all so much for your time.
Yeah,
it's really appreciated.
Always appreciated. All right, I'll move on then to our next image that we have. If we can bring that up, our lovely producer. Again, I'm hoping, well, I'll explain what this is.
Well, when do we send it?
This was sent from the Old School Twitter account last weekend, with no context at all, which is obviously a very upsetting image.
I just hate when your pet rock's sad. It's so bad.
Hopefully, the following tweet, which was sent, may give a little context, and perhaps Mod Wolf, you'll be able to explain it if we swap to the next image. Give you guys a bit more clue what's going on.
The pet rock ignores you, and you are now an exile of the Fremennik province. Look, you can see the serious in his face in that one compared to when he was sad.
You can.
It's incredible the range of emotion that a pet rock has. So yeah, we teased Fremennik Exiles.
We did.
Again, it's been 2 years, pretty much. But this time, it's actually coming. Next week, next Tuesday for that matter, I can announce that we will be putting a blog post live for Fremennik Exiles. Fremennik Exiles is a master tier quest. It should take around 40 to 60 minutes to do on release, so it's not Some of the Elves, it's not Dragon Slayer 2, it's like a prerequisite of things to come for the Fremennik series in the future. We have a couple of things we'll be polling. There'll be a new creature and a new Slayer dungeon with that creature in and some relevant other things, but you'll see that in the blog as well as what reward we might be offering with it. There's also a couple of cool tweets we'll be putting out over the weekend, so remember to follow at Old School RS to see some of those pictures as they come out. They look really good. Mod West did a great job as usual. And for the backstory of the quest, Fremenniks, I love the Fremennik quest series. It's my favourite quest series by far. Mod Ed, by the way, worth pointing out that I started development on this and I got kind of close to the end. There was a puzzle and then a boss, and then Mod Ed took over and he's starting to work on that now, and he went back and he cleaned up some of my stuff as well because it has been a long time. Funnily enough, Mod Ed when you see this blog, he points out that this was the first ever quest he worked on, but it's going to be the 10th he's going to end up releasing.
Oh, wow.
So, kind of funny. But yeah, as a bit of backstory, you've, spoiler alert for any Fremenniks who haven't joined their ranks yet, but become part of their civilization recently. You've assisted with 2 different islands which were warring states or bickering, but there's a lot of warring between the Fremennik provinces.
There is.
And most recently you started to have some diplomatic relations with the Moon Clan, with the Fremenniks. Started negotiations over their long-standing war. But before they separated, before the Fremennik province and the Moon Clan broke up, they were united under one hero called V. And they have many a folklore about him. They're not all entirely true.
So I realise we're about 20 minutes in to the stream already. I think we'll give a quick overview of the update that you guys can expect tomorrow. Do we all know what's going in, or is this going to be a surprise to someone else here on the couch as well?
We reorganised the player-owned house teleport tab thing so that the...
Oh, we did, yes.
Yeah. Nice.
KD ratios for PvP worlds and Bounty Hunter worlds are separate than regular PvP.
So your
now.
kill death ratio will be tracked separately on PvP worlds, Bounty Hunter worlds, separate from your general wilderness kills.
There's one more as well.
You can now slash webs with any weapon that has a slash bonus. Well, I say now, this will be as of tomorrow morning's update. And then the 2 other...
Yeah, the big one. Crystal Shards now give 100 charges rather than 25.
Ooh.
Yep.
There you
go. That's a good one.
So your Blades of Sailed Oars will not be running out quite as quickly. Well, I say quite as quickly. They'll be recharged more quickly.
Yes, you don't need as many
They'll run out at the same
shards.
rate. It's also having its maximum capacity increased to 20,000 charges, along with all other crystal items. That's all the tools, armor, and other weapons, including the shield.
What happens to an existing one if it's like half charges now?
Well, it's just
adding
the number of charges.
They will stay.
Oh, it's just because
unaffected.
okay, no, that makes sense.
And then the only other major change, obviously, we'll have the usual list of smaller changes, but the only other major one is Bloodveld and Necrael in the Iworth dungeon are being upgraded to their mutated and greater versions. If you've completed Song of the Elves, got access.
Yeah, that's worth pointing out. People were wondering how we were making them stronger, and it's by using the greater versions and the mutated version.
So all that to come as of tomorrow morning. Right, like I say, I realise we're a third of the way in, and we've also got the quiz to do, so I'll crack on with the questions.
Yes.
Have you guys thought about adding a Barrow Brothers pet? It could transform between each brother as a right-click option.
This has come up a lot of times.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like PVM content, and most PVM content has a pet, so I get why people ask about it.
Right.
But one of the problems, I think one of the fears about it is that obviously when you do that, you're going to drive a lot more people to go and do barrows.
Yeah.
And a lot of high-level players who can do it very, very quickly, but currently don't have much reason to do barrows. That's going to bring in a lot of runes into the game, because barrows really does give you a lot of runes, and obviously also barrows items, and drive down the price of those, which in turn will make it less of a good piece of content for lower levels to do.
Right.
And that's the fear. So that's why we've sort of stayed away from it in the meantime.
Yeah.
Almost from like sort of virtual ethics standpoint as well. There's something a bit weird about having a tiny human as a pet, even if they're
a spectre. It's a spectre.
Well,
Another problem.
okay, but it's still a bit strange, I think. I mean, the closest, we don't really have any humanoid.
We got Lil Zik.
You got the skeletal magi as well from...
Yeah, I guess. There's Vetion.
Hang on a second. You're not allowed spirits, but you're allowed skeletals, like skeletal
Yeah, so
humans.
skeleton's different, I think.
Oh, whoa! This is getting into
Yeah.
like. Are you skeletonist?
Gonna get skeleton.
Personally, I'd go for if I was going to do one, I'd go for a chest.
Ziliano. You literally have Commander Ziliano.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right, fair enough. That's a good point. I can't, yeah. I'll move on.
That's even worse. That's like having a half-naked woman following you around.
Yeah, okay. Our next question is also Barrows related. People want to know if, well, this one player in particular wants to know if we can change it so that you can't see other Barrows brothers while you're doing your own Barrows runs.
If anything, I like that because it sort of gives you the idea of these other people are also doing the same thing. And look, that guy's got Darox. He's about to get slapped to 73. So, like, I'm fine with that, really.
Okay.
Also, it might be a little bit harder and a bit of work which doesn't really need to be done.
Okay.
Got a fly in the drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if we were to do anything, it would be to somehow try and remove the attack option from the one that isn't yours.
Yeah, that would be acceptable, yeah.
You reckon it's worth putting an arrow above your brother's head?
It does do that, I
It does
think.
do
It
that?
does.
Yep.
I haven't really noticed.
Okay.
It'd be possible, but why would be the answer.
Sure. All right then. We have another pet-themed question, which is, can we see a metamorphosis option for Lil Zik, which would allow you to see, or allow it to change into the smaller versions of the other Theatre of Blood bosses, just like the Omelette can do for Chambers of Xeric?
Would love to, but I think we need a mechanism for doing that. Firstly, we could. Option one is just doing it, and so all Lil Zik pets will have it. Other option is making it like a secondary drop, or some sort of challenge that you've got to do. I personally don't really want to do a hard mode Theatre of Blood. That's at least not in the same way that Chambers of Xeric did it.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm open to ideas on how we could do it.
What is it about the hard mode in Chambers of Xeric that puts you off doing the same for Theatre?
Because the drop was exclusively only available in challenge mode and is a rare drop.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people felt that they ended up having to do challenge mode and actually don't enjoy it as much as doing regular Chambers of Xeric.
Yeah, definitely.
So you almost incentivize people to do content they don't like compared to the version they do like.
But to be fair though, is that also because they have to do every room in Chambers of Xeric as opposed to it being randomised, whereas with Theatre of Blood it's already a set path anyway, so...
Theatre of Blood might be better for it, but if I was going to do a sort of challenge mode, I'd make it one completion to unlock it sort of thing instead.
Similar to
That's what I think would be the best way to do it
similar
anyway.
to the Gauntlet, I guess, then.
But then, challenge mode isn't a cheap thing to develop.
What do you guys think about Divine Barbarian potions? With the 5-minute boost having 2 doses, it matters less and should finally give them a use.
I think they'll still be useless and no one really use them, and it'll be a waste of shards. So...
Okay. Are we just sort of going to go on
What's the point?
ignoring
unless you make them better than actual potions, and make them have 4 doses, I don't see them ever really being good.
Right.
It's just... There's not really a scenario where it's like... It's beneficial to get a very minor heal and also pot up. Like every now and then you'll be like, oh, I'm a little bit low on health,
right,
and my potion's running out. But more often than not, you're low on health regardless of your potion running out. So it's not really good. As a concept, barbarian potions were flawed.
Also, divine potions will make your health go down just for it to go back up by like 5. So
that's a good point.
Unless it was like, you drink it and for 5, unless barbarian potions were to heal you over 5 minutes, like very, very little it's like you had the regen prayer on, but then it's like you don't even see the impact, and it's just passive power, which is even worse, I think, having passive strength. So
okay, probably wouldn't consider doing that then. Alrighty, we did answer a question similar to our next one a couple of weeks ago, I believe, but if people are still asking, I think it sort of bears repeating actually. So this player asked, what do you think about the 75% pass rate in the polls, given that some players can also vote on their alt accounts?
2 things on this. We have polled in the past about changing the threshold. I think we polled changing it to 70%, didn't we? Mm-hmm. And it didn't even get, that one in particular didn't get 70% even. I don't think there's too much appetite to actually change the 75% threshold from what I've seen. But I mean, if the community is actually open to changing it and think that warrants changing, I think we should be open to it. But the other point about alts, obviously, as we've seen, I mean, especially the warding poll, there was a lot of conversation around people using their alt accounts to vote yes or using their alt accounts to vote no. We dove into the research on this and actually looked at who's voting and tried to look who's using alts to do this. And Alt's barely made a difference, basically. It is a negligible amount.
Yeah.
It's quite a niche amount of players who are bothering to use alts to do that.
Literally.
So it didn't actually impact the result either way.
Yeah, like I said, it was like 2 weeks ago, actually, we said this, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago, we answered it the exact same way, and it was completely honest. It's completely negligible. I mean, again, feel free to keep using your bonds. It's keeping the price up. So when if I want to sell it, it feels great. But other
there wasn't very many, and there were alts on both sides, basically.
Yeah. Alrighty. I'll move on to a couple of suggestions, which I picked out. I like this next one, which is, could the Wilderness Agility course occasionally spawn Laren's keys pieces, so maybe halves, similar to the Crystal Key, instead of Marks of Grace, which could obviously then be combined into a full Laren's Key. This would then give some incentive to train there and to PK there. The pieces would then be dropped to the killer on death, but not tradable.
I do like a buff to the Wilderness course, because it's like a cool course, which has like actual risk, but it's never really used because of rooftops.
is it good experience? Like, what's the experience range?
It's slightly better than Falador, but people don't go there because it's in the wilderness.
Right.
And it's only used for like a few levels until you get to.
By the time that you the keys are really expensive. Like, they have some good drop and loot, right? And by the point that you get to having maybe one key combined, you'd be past the level of going to the Wilderness Agility course anyway, probably.
I guess the point is, if it's that good on money, you might consider dropping XP per hour to do it. And you probably will drop XP per hour because you're going to have to deal with PKs.
But it's only up to like, just like between Falador and the next tier up. It's not substantially that much worth. I mean, Marks of Grace have value as well, right? They're like, what's the equivalency, like 10k each?
Yeah. It's dependent on the price of the MLAs, so.
And it's safe.
And it also helps you get Graceful, which is something everyone wants to get, so.
It's true. Well, it could always be balanced by, well, the drop rate of these key pieces, right?
That's true. But then, if the best way to get this Slayer key is to do agility.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea necessarily, but I think it needs a change if it's only useful for just a few levels. But yeah, I'm open to a straw poll or something if we can do a straw poll.
Okay. So should we have
1 to 2 mil an hour? Ian, are you mad? 2 mil an hour for doing a Wilderness Agility course at level 30? No.
50.
Oh, 50. Sorry, I said 30.
Now you know how Wolf's going to do in the quiz.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the answers. I'm going to get 100%.
I guess we'll start from assuming that it's all been discussed and balanced. We'll make the question very straightforward, which could be, should there be a chance to gain Laren's keys from the Wilderness Agility course?
What keys?
Laren's, L-A-R-R.
But Wilderness Slayer keys.
Sure. And then just a yes, no. So while we put that straw poll out and see what the consensus is from you guys, it seemed kind of split in the chat, so I'm not sure which way it's going to go. I'll ask our next suggestion. Raise our next suggestion, which was, could another use for the Hydra tail be added to the game? It's been a while since this one's been brought up, but I like the suggestion. Currently, its only use is being turned into the Bone Crusher necklace, which is a niche item. I suggest adding it to the Dragon Mace to create a Hydra's Flail. This would be the crush equivalent of a Tentacle Whip, having 10,000 charges, and the tail would be lost at the end rather than the mace.
So we tried to tackle this when we first launched it, and we proposed the Bone Whip at first, I remember.
You're giving a better answer. I was just going to say no, but go ahead.
So we're going to offer that, but what we actually settled on is like the Hydra itself is pretty good money. And although the Hydra, it's not nice that the Hydra tail obviously isn't worth very much, and it's quite a rare item, but the Hydra itself is pretty good. Now, that's not to say we shouldn't do a flail. I'm not completely open to that as a reward idea, but I don't think this is the right place to do it.
Is that to say you don't really mind the tail being something of a dud drop?
They need to exist.
I think some people might disagree, but there's always going to be items which aren't going to be useful. There's the tail, there's
Ashes.
the Barbarian Potion. Ashes are useful for potions.
But when you get an Ash drop from Cerberus and want to cry.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. But
I think what players already know as well is that coming up with solid rewards for content is quite difficult because we've got to add something that is obviously going to be useful. It's going to hold a value so that there's a reason to kill the boss or whatever it is.
It can't be too good though.
But also we don't want to do power creep. There's limited space, and coming up with ideas is not an easy challenge, which is often why we come to you guys. We let you guys pitch ideas, and so something like this is a perfectly good reward, and we should save it for something that needs a reward. Hydra's already got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spot on.
All right. The straw poll results are in. So we asked you guys a few minutes ago, should there be a chance to gain Wildy Slayer keys from the Wilderness Agility course? And 58% of you said yes, 42 said no. So I think that's fairly split. Not close to our 75% pass mark. Probably won't take that one.
Even at 70%, that one.
Okay, I'll ask our next question, which is, can you release Wild Gothic Sleeps and other 2008 content? Since Dragon Claws have already been released elsewhere, you could release WGS without having to rebalance the rewards. I would play it again just for the story.
I love the Wild Gothic Sleep quest. I think it's iconic. It was the first ever Grandmaster originally in RuneScape. And obviously Tormented Demons are also amazing content as well. To do Wild Gothic Sleeps, we'd have to add the whole series of quests that led up to it, which is the several we don't have, I believe, which makes that challenging.
And then we have gorillas, which are TD equivalents. And
I don't mind adding, to be honest, I don't even mind adding Tormented Demons separately to Tormented Gorillas, even though they're quite similar. There's a lot of cool content that comes from it, but I don't think we'll ever be able to warrant spending a load of time making that quest series when we could make new stuff.
It's such a large piece of content.
Yeah.
And
to get to the point where we'd have Wild Gothic Sleep ready to release with all the pre-quests, it would take us probably like, I might be overshooting a bit, but probably like a year. Is it worth spending a year on content that's already out on RuneScape 3? I don't think it ever
they're going
will
to type
be.
yes, though.
Well,
But no, you're right. Like,
I've got a question. That, firstly, obviously, Wild Gothic Sleep's massive. That would be a huge amount of development. But Tormented Demons is a lot more, maybe more achievable.
mm-hmm.
How would you actually feel if we did Tormented Demons by themselves? So, like we did with Corp. Corp originally came out of a quest series in RuneScape. We'd have to do Tormented Demons in a similar vein, which maybe breaks the law a little bit, but we could maybe work around that. The other question is, Tormented Demons would need a new reward because we've already got claws in the game from Chambers of Xeric.
And the dragon plate for plate body.
We could come up with a different requirement for Tormented Demons, so it's not just available to everyone, and do something similar. But maybe doing literally Tormented Demons would be cool if that's what people actually want.
Okay.
There's a bit of a mix, but I see a lot of people excited about Tormented Demons in the chat.
Yeah, it's just a case of finding that unique to put on there. Obviously, given the Dragon Claw already.
They're not a small. Maybe it's the flail, right? This is where we had that flail drop.
Dragon Mace
But this is
upgrade.
exactly the point I'm saying. Like, we need good rewards so we can add to this sort of content.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might be good. And I think clearly people see a difference between doing demonic gorillas and Tormented Demons. They feel very different to kill. So.
All right, I'm going to ask our next question, knowing already what the reaction is going to be, but I did want to raise it just as a discussion point, which is, would you guys ever consider adding a loaning system to Old School similar to exists in RS3, whereby you can loan an item to your friend for a period of time and then it returns back to you?
I like the concept, but I don't like what it does to the economy.
Right.
Where I have this scythe, and this scythe, because everyone who needs it for like a day will just loan it, they're never going to own it themselves, because they're not going to have time to gain 1 bill GP. My scythe's now going to be worth a lot more because there's less people going for it, which is like not great.
You create a loan for money economy.
Yeah.
Where you can rent an item for money. Secondly, you have to do it via trusting the person you're giving it to, but you can already do it. When it was originally done, there was a bit of a necessity because of the fact that you couldn't trade freely.
I guess, well, that's the only benefit of the system, in my opinion. Like, the only benefit is you'll be able to trade an item and it come back to you safely 100% at the end of a time period, which is a good benefit, but it's just essentially what?
Yeah, sure.
Also, just to point out, a lot of these items use charges, which I don't believe the item lending system would support either.
Yeah, it never used to.
No.
Okay.
However, you could get a party hat for 24 hours for, what was it, 2 mil or 200k?
Yeah.
I think it was 2
No,
mil
I
for
think,
24
yeah, it was
hours
about
back
2
in the day.
mil. Like,
Yeah.
back in the day, I used to
Steep.
loan.
That's what it
Really,
used-
that much?
That's what it used to be in the day, yeah.
Yep.
You don't remember this?
I don't remember paying that much.
Do you want to
I
flex
think you
for
got
a
a
day?
raw deal.
You want to flex for a whole day. Do you want to get your forum pick? Was what it was
Ooh,
for.
no, could you use those? I don't think you could.
Oh no, you couldn't use lane times, could
No.
you? Oh. No weird flexing for free.
All right, so we've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions before we're going to move over to the quiz segment. Is that just for us, or is the screen also stuck on Mod Kieran and Mod Tide?
Keep it on them, put it on them.
It's fine.
I just leave it there.
Zoom in. Zoom in. Enhance.
Kiss cam.
Enhance.
All right. Our next.
No, all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. There we go.
Excellent. Our next suggestion says currently the fire. Oh no, I don't like that. Currently, the fire-making cape's perk shares its effect with Kandarin headgear. Could the fire-making cape perk be changed to allow you not to be interrupted by the cold of the winter, Todd? What do you guys think of this one?
No, what, sorry? I was too busy looking at the camera.
Basically, this purpose
Too
would
busy
become
ignoring.
getting 200 mil fire making is a lot easier.
Right.
Oh,
So
a lot more
fire-making cape,
AFK.
at the moment, it's a light source.
Yeah?
Can we make it so that it's got something that's different?
No, why do you keep buffing skill capes, man? No.
Yeah, I agree
I
with
was gonna.
Normally,
This is a huge buff, but I'm open to different ideas for fire making.
right. I think there's an issue here. The point they raise, which is, yeah, the Kandarin headgear does the same exact thing, is valid.
But it also has its own teleports, so it's got its own use anyway.
Okay. I'm not seeing. Well, I think the chat's.
It's just such an
I think you guys are
unnecessary
against
buff.
it. I guess.
And
All
also, I don't like the argument that, like, if one thing does something, another thing can't. For example, doing the Fremennik elites allow you to, because I was literally talking about this the other day. Doing Fremennik elites allow you to not have the seal of passage
Yeah.
on Lunar Isle, right? That's one of the rewards. But if we were ever to do like a Grandmaster in the Fremennik quest, we would inevitably have to do something to join the Moon Clan and the Fremennik together,
Right.
which would in turn mean the seal of passage is useless. So
How
we would have
about-
to have the reward be you can talk without it.
Yeah.
But then again, the same issue. Like, there's always going to be a time where rewards, and it's just about which one's more difficult to get, and that's why they both can exist simultaneously.
How about walking through the snow to God Wars doesn't affect you?
There's already a thing for that.
Build a fire.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a fire thing.
You build the
don't we?
fire thing, the fire pit.
No, well then.
But also, no one would use that, because why would you take a fire cape to God Wars? Like, are you a massive noob?
No, I mean, of course there's no reason. But maybe people would take it as an extra item. I don't know.
Okay, Max. Okay, Max JMod. Some of us are proud of our fire. I don't even have the fire making cape. No, never mind.
You have fire making kit.
That fire making cape, no.
Ooh, can I be muted, please, John? I'm going to go over and get this quiz ready. Get ready to win. Get ready to win 14 days of membership, guys.
Yeah, so that just about wraps things up for the question segment of our stream. If you are watching this on YouTube or on Twitch on the VOD after we're live, this is going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for watching. For people who are live with us, we'll see you in a short while to join Mod Wolf over on the PCs for the quiz that we're doing. I haven't got the details ready! !Quiz to get involved.